Welcome back to AM Northwest. When it comes to meaningful Mother's Day gifts, nothing beats homemade. And here to share a great fun idea, we welcome back the author of several books, including Botanical Line Drawing, artist and educator Peggy Dean. Always good to see you, Peggy.
It's great to see you.
Okay, with Mother's Day coming, as we've mentioned earlier, you've got a great craft idea that we could actually, like taking a look at this, it's so different. That's amazing, and you could probably frame that.
It's so fun. I think that this is just such a fun, colorful way to spruce up old family photos from like the archives that are sitting in a
drawer, box somewhere. Yeah, fantastic.
And whether they're truly vintage or not, either way, I think that it's fun because the simplest little details with thread color boosts. I've done this on color photos as well. Of course, I don't have any.
I want to show this one too. I don't know if we can see that one.
Yeah.
But it's just a tiny bit of the thread.
Yeah. It
makes
really,
it fun.
It brings things to life, and you can accentuate areas that you wouldn't otherwise notice, like the buttons on her jacket dress thing. So it's.
Let me show this one.
Yeah.
This one.
And that one was one I decided just to embellish. So this little girl wasn't holding anything, and so I decided I'll just use really thin thread and make it sparkler.
I love it. Okay, how do we do this?
So there's one main tip with this.
Okay.
It is to use a dense foam pad.
Okay.
These are lint collectors, I'll warn, but they are the best thing. I grabbed a few colors to choose from, so you can grab any of those. Okay. And I've already threaded on here. So with embroidery thread, it usually comes with a strand of 6 on one of these strings. And so I separate it so that there's only 2, and that makes it thinner.
Okay.
Which makes it so it won't get super bulky. So these are all 2 strands, unless that sparkler is only 1.
Okay.
So it has that nice thin line. So it doesn't have to look pretty because we're going to drag it all the way through.
Okay.
But what I like to do is plan out exactly where I'm going to put the thread first. So I'll envision, like, let's say I want to do this belt sash situation.
Oh, yeah.
And if I wanted to what they call satin stitch, which is essentially just a line and then another line and another line right next to each other, what I'll do first is punch a hole right there where I want it first, and then come out and then punch a hole where I want it again.
Oh.
And that way I'm preventing any damage from the photo because I can go through from that point.
And you found all these photos at like a
thrift store. Yeah, and you can do it with your own. I just had this, I don't know, something, I did it once and I just had to keep going.
You just came up with that idea?
I think that it exists, but I yes and no. My mom used to, when she was raising me, she just got me into so many crafting things.
Oh, okay.
And so I can't help but think about, the other thing about this is you never want to go too close. So even though you want it right next to each other, you want to keep enough spacing so that you don't go into the hole right next to it.
Oh, good point.
And it will happen, especially if you're going, if you're doing something so close together. But when everything is said and done, it does look like it's got a good amount of space.
Look at
or that it's nice and close together.
You did something a little different, I'm noticing.
Yeah.
I'm going to show this one now.
That one is a cross stitch. So if anyone's familiar with cross stitching, you're just making teensy tiny little X's. And that one
oh my goodness.
I'll be honest, that one was a little difficult. I did have some holes meshed together on this one, but what I did was, you can see on there the dress that she's wearing. I followed that and did white to go along with it, and then at the bottom changed to orange, and then the background I changed to brown. So it's just highlighting her silhouette, but in blocks.
That is so creative.
It's just
Peggy, wow.
It's something different. It's minimal, and I chose colors that were really subdued because I thought that could be cool, but it could also be cool with color.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really all that is. And so sometimes what I'll do, because I want to make sure that I'm not going to mess that up, is I'll go the whole way, and I'll just do holes along the entire section that I want, and it doesn't have to be perfect because as long as they're not connecting. Now, you can use thinner needles too, like I did with the cross stitch one, and that way you're going to be able to get, these holes a lot closer together because the needle won't be as thick.
Do you have a suggestion on how to pick out the photos?
Yeah, I think it would depend on what you want to highlight. So I look at photos first and I let those be the inspiration.
Okay.
So For these ones,
Share this one too. That's pretty awesome.
for a lot of these, I'll find like these ones would be cool to accentuate the flowers around there. Let me show you a cool stitch real quick.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
So no, I love it. I love the interest. So this one right here, if I wanted to accentuate like whatever is on the top of her hat here,
Her hat, yeah.
like her maybe a flower or something, I could do a few of these where I come through, and this stitch is one of my favorites to do. So you take the thread and you just twist it around 2 or 3 times, and then go back through the hole, and you hold that tight so that that loop stays there.
Yeah.
And this is called a French knot. I'm not super savvy with embroidery, so I'm sorry if I'm not doing it perfectly.
Oh, that's great. It looks like a rose.
Doesn't it? And
Yeah.
so if you do a few clusters, maybe different colors, it will just bring that to life more too.
Oh my gosh, that is great.
So little tiny things like that. And
Yeah.
but most of these, I mean, you can see this is that same stitch that I just talked about on the buttons. Sorry,
Here.
so
No,
sorry.
that's all right.
Same with the dress that I showed, and then these little sparklers also. These are those
Yeah.
little French knots, and then just these long stitches.
Oh my gosh, Peggy, that's great.
Isn't it fun?
Great idea. I absolutely love it. All right, we want to tell everyone again, your book is titled Botanical Line Drawing. It's one of your many books, actually. Yeah, how many do you have out there? You've lost count? That's how prolific you are. That's crazy. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
you so
All right, we'll
much.
be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.